Hello everyone, and welcome to Part 5 of CSS Level 1. In this lecture, we'll briefly cover a CSS topic known as specificity. Specificity defines the hierarchy of CSS styling, and what type of tags overrule others. We've actually already briefly seen this when we were using the asterisk tag, and we saw how even though we use the asterisk tag in an attempt to cover all the tags in an HTML document, tags that had an ID call on them were able to maintain their styling. We're going to cover the hierarchy of this in this lecture. Let's get started by jumping straight to the Atom text editor. Alright, here I have the Part 5 HTML document open, and I have a heading for specificity, but what I'm going to do is add in an unordered list, and each list item is going to have a particular tag with it. So this first list item is going to belong to a class, and we'll call this class top items. And we'll give it the name, or we'll call it just first. And then the second list is going to say an ID. And that ID will be 2, but it will also belong to the class top items. And we'll say it's the second. And then finally, we'll have third, and then another list item called fourth. So let's save that. Refresh over here, zoom in a bit, and we see we have the first, second, third, and fourth item in this list. The first one has only the class, the second one has an ID and a class, and then the last two, third and fourth, are just normal list items. Let's see what happens as we begin to add in styling. Let's say we just style everything that has li to it, and we say, okay, the color of all list items are going to be red. If I refresh this page, all list items become red. But now, let's say I also grab the top items class. So remember, with a class, we have to use that period or dot. And I call color here. And I color it blue. What do we think is going to happen here? Well, if I refresh, I notice now anything with the class top items has become blue. So top items is higher in the hierarchy than a general tag call. And that kind of makes sense. You would want general tag calls to happen after you have a class. And then, further up the hierarchy, on top of a class, is an actual ID. And remember, we do IDs with a hashtag. So right now I have the ID of 2. And I'm going to specify this to have a border. And we'll give it a 3-pixel border that's solid black. Save this, refresh this page, and now I can see that on top of not just the normal tag or the class tag, ID has superseded that. Just as a general note, throughout this course, we actually won't deal with the issue of specificity too often because we're going to be using more formatted CSS, focusing on other things, or just using Bootstrap. We won't run into this issue too often, but it's something you should be aware of in case you find yourself one day working with CSS and you're unsure why some effects aren't taking place. Maybe you're accidentally overwriting something due to its specificity. In the part5_master.css file that comes with the download for this course, you'll notice that there are 2 links, and I'm going to expand this right now and talk about them. The first link is the Mozilla Developer Network page on specificity. It talks about the concept. It actually talks about how it's calculated, where specificity is actually a weight that's applied to a given CSS declaration, and it talks a little more about it. Another one that the other link is here, it's called Design Shack, and it just talks about what the heck is CSS specificity. And I actually like this link a lot because it just talks about tags versus tags. So what wins in class versus class? What wins in ID versus class, what wins in a pseudo class versus a pseudo element, etc., and the different levels of specificity. Again, not something that we're going to be running into a whole lot throughout this course, but it is something you should be aware of. Okay, that's really all that I wanted to talk about for this lecture, just the fact that specificity exists, and probably the main ones you're going to be running into is ID superseding class, superseding a general tag call. Okay. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture where we begin explaining your assessment for this section of the course.